Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Battlefield 6 Season 3 trailer dropped. I'm not gonna lie, it doesn't look bad. I was kind of they said naval warfare is coming back. They're adding
Oh, they
ranked
added
play.
server browsers. I heard that
Yeah.
was finally coming back.
Server
Yeah.
Interesting.
browsers, a bunch of new maps. It's a 6 minute trailer. It actually looked really good. I was like,
Oh yeah, I'm gonna have to get in there.
I said maybe I might download it and give it
Let
another
it break your
shot.
PC again.
Yeah, that's what I'm worried
Oh
about.
yeah, because you
Man.
got out because of that. Yeah.
I can't say so if I do play this shit, I'm gonna play this shit off stream first to make sure it works, bro. Because I can't do it no more on stream, bro. Just bricking my shit, bro. But it looks like they're hitting their stride since Vince passed, and they're finally maybe they're finally getting it together, and they might have like a comeback season. It just took 3 seasons to get there, but there's a lot of content.
I'm excited about the server browser because that's always been a thing for me. I want to do the any of those special servers that they had. You know, they said we ought to go back to Battlefield 3, man. 24/7 Metro. Let's get it. So doing something like that. People love that stuff, man. Yeah. So
get Metro in there.
And then Battlefield's rival Call of Duty, its movie gets a release window for 2028. Well, actually, release date June 30th, 2028. Will they stick that? I don't know, but the movie is being written and produced by Peter Berg from Friday Night Lights and Deepwater Horizon. Is this doing anything for anybody?
That's an interesting director pick. Could be not bad.
Yeah.
I just again wonder which Call of Duty are they going to do?
How much Israeli propaganda do you think is going to be in it?
Yeah, that would make me walk out the movie theater. I ain't gonna hold you.
Probably gonna be a lot of it. Gonna be a lot of
it. I just don't know. Like, cause I'm not trying to see anything. I'm not trying to see anything from original Call of Duties. I'm not trying to see World of War. Don't do any of that. I'm not even trying to see Cold War, Vietnam. I don't want to see any of that. Maybe Cold War, but even still, that's gonna be a huge no for me. So I just don't know which Call of Duty they're going to do. If they're going to keep it video game accurate, or they're going to do a brand new. Like it's just so many questions that I just need answer to. Which direction are you going to go here?
I don't want to see Saving Private Ryan Part 2. We already seen that movie. I don't want them to do any of the more recent games. I feel like the only storyline that lends itself potentially to being a decent film is the numbers Mason shit. What was that? Black Ops 1 and 2?
Yeah, Black Ops 1, yeah. Black Ops 3.
If they could flesh out that storyline, there might be something interesting there, but other than that, I don't really know what Call of Duty, because Call of Duty has never really had really in-depth like storylines. They're just kind of okay. Outside of the ones I just named, I think that's the one probably most iconic to most people. It has iconic moments, but are the stories really that good? I don't know.
People like the whole Modern Warfare 2 shooting up the airport.
That was not that part, but I like more.
You know.
Yeah, I like the Modern Warfare story. I like the Modern Warfare story, so I don't know. So.
This section just felt natural to me. Yeah, I bet it did. And then people was trying to get me to rag on this shit the other day. The chat was like, "Did you hear? It was Arc Raiders dropped almost 80% of its player base." I was like, "Oh shit, it did. I didn't even know." And apparently, it's true. It hit sub 100,000 players. From my understanding, the community has issues with the game because they still haven't done anything with the cheaters. There hasn't been any new content in a while, although there's supposed to be a new map coming in a few weeks. But right now, it's not in a good place. All the big streamers kind of quit playing the game. Do we think this game is dead, Ethos?
I mean, I think maybe it might be a trend towards people not caring for extraction shooters right now. Like it might just be a broader, like maybe Marathon was ahead of the curve.
It's not how much time
like,
you have.
Not being like kind of tired of extraction shooters and not being excited about it. So Marathon just having a lower count for being a more like niche game kind of was like a foretelling of that. And then Arc Raiders, which is obviously bigger, more casual, Mickey Mouse Playhouse version. It's naturally starting to fall off too, which coincides with that pattern. I think it'd be different if like Arc Raiders was still growing and then Marathon was diving, but to see that like Arc Raiders is diving and Marathon
is the genre as a whole. You think
it's the genre as a whole? I don't think it's I don't think it's an individual thing. I think it's just what we were saying for the past 3 weeks makes sense, right? Like Marathon's a more niche game, so obviously it wouldn't have as big as a player base, but it has like a dedicated player base to it. The more casual version of them is like they're dealing with a lot of stuff. Like they're not producing a lot of content. The end game is non-existent. That's kind of why I stopped playing it. Like there's no good end game at all. There's no like reward for like all the grinding you're doing. There's only so much of that. There's issues with their free kit system. A lot of their economy's kind of messed, like out of whack right now. So yeah, they need more content. I think that's the biggest thing. That'll be the biggest test, I think, is that if they produce a new map, is that enough? Outside of like, well, you have a new map, but that's only going to be fun for so long, right? Like you're going to just get off if there's no like, what's the new enticing mechanic or the stickiness that makes me want to get on every day and play it. I don't think Artrader has that anymore. It doesn't have it at all. So they need to solve that issue first, I think, before they just drop in a new map that might bring some people back temporarily for like a week or a month, and then they all just leave again. So yeah, I mean, this isn't just me being like excited, being like, oh, you know, everyone should just go over to Marathon, because I don't think Arc Raiders players are looking for a Marathon experience. I think that, you know, they want to play more of that like Arc Raiders style. So, you know, it's really going to come down to if the devs can deliver it, which I think they should be able to. They've been able to produce the finals and keep producing content on a consistent basis. So I think this is just more of the reason probably they're taking longer is because they have to deviate to fix some of the like in-game issues. And like there's a lot of other, like what you said, cheating, and there's a bunch of other issues right now. And then I think the biggest factor is I think they were thinking of building the game for PvP. And I think the whole, like, the people were joking about it, but it seems like it's really serious. Like, it seems like a majority of the players want it to be, like, kind of what happened with Destiny. Like, Destiny was supposed to be this PvP, PvE, 50-50 type of game. But then, like, you look at the stats, and, like, a majority of the players are only engaging in the PvE aspect of it, and they don't like the smaller portions only doing the PvP. So they might be prioritizing, saying, all right, we're going to build out more PvE elements and more bigger robots, which takes a longer time to build, than trying to, like, make more PvP type of, like, maps or experiences. So, you know, that might be why they're taking longer, is they're going to cater their game towards PvE and just let the PvP kind of die.
I'm not gonna, even though I'm like a big fan of this game, I'm not gonna rag on it and say, oh, I think it's dead, it's over. Let's wait until see what happens when the new content drops. When the new content drops, I think that'll be the real test. Because not only has there been a lack of content, but then I also think that, like, you know, these days, I don't feel like influencers use their influence for very much. But the one time they did is for Arc Raiders recently. They were definitely on that. And all it takes is for a fucking virtual peanut to get back on the game. And for some reason, a bunch of grown men will start playing again. So we'll see what the peanut does. What do you think, Jeff?
Marathon.
I gotta play it off stream, man. Gotta play it off stream. Yeah, I mean, all the things that you mentioned are pretty much reason as to why this game is dipping in its player base. You need something new, especially in any live service game. We all know that new content is king. But if you couple that with, you know, you're having hackers and people getting stream sniped, I mean, it's going to end up not being as fruitful as it once was. Everybody gets their 15 minutes of fame, but you do have a chance to redeem yourself and get that player base back. You're not going to get it fully back to where it once was, but you can, you know, make a little bit of a resurgence and, you know, have a renaissance period if you can deliver on that new content. So, like you said, T-Bed, we will see once they end up delivering that new content what will happen. But I am very curious about that PvP versus PvE thing. I feel like this is one of the most mixed communities when it comes to that, because you do have those people, again, like a lot of the stuff, especially with all the bigger streamers, have been more of like, oh, I want to do PvP, like I just want to rad, I want to be a griefer and deal with all that stuff. But in the casuals, more the people who aren't up to that level, who don't have all the big equipment, they're like, yeah, I want this to be a PvE thing, and I don't like being shot at all the time. So there's going to be, I don't think you're going to be able to win either way. With creating either going all in on PvP or going all in on PvE, or really even having that balance. I don't think that there is a way that you can truly balance it to a way that both sides will be happy. But it'll be interesting to see if they can pull it off, or if they decide to go just fully on the route of PvE and then just like have a smaller subsection that just does the PvP aspect. So we'll see. But yeah, you got to come up with that content. That's going to be the first thing on their agenda. So you got to really nail it with that in order to, you know, get the people back and want to play it.
I'm just shocked that Siggy wasn't the one that updated this one. I learned this from the chat. They actually put me onto this because I don't hawk Steam DB numbers. I would have thought Siggy would have told us in the group chat, but
I told you, don't feed his agenda, man. He ain't gonna talk about it. he was like, what are you talking about? I don't even like our Raiders. I was like, oh, still, like all these other games you say you don't like either, but yeah, you be sharing the Steam DB charts. Yeah, exactly. The one target that was supposed to be compared to Marathon, not freaking Crimson Desert. This man was comparing Crimson Desert to Marathon. I'm like, bro, you need to be comparing Arc Raiders to Marathon because they're literally the same genre. But he ain't shared out when we got him.
Man, cornering himself into that joke full time. He better get on Samson too. And then last but not least, Escape from Tarkov creators, they announced a new, speaking of extraction shooters might be dead, the Escape from Tarkov creators announced a new extraction shooter called Fragmentary Order. It's a space extraction shooter. That's all I can get from it. Graphically, it looks pretty, but I'm here to let y'all know, I don't care.
The whole thread was like, oh, so this is Marathon? And literally the whole thread, they like...
Oh, shit. I would love to see, was there some data or research and development that like they did, like the dev or like the industry did, where they said, yeah, everybody needs to make an extraction shooter? Because I've always been on the side of like, I'm not sure this, when BR hit, that shit was like crack cocaine when it hit the hood. When this hit, it was. I never really got it, bro. It was like, remember when K2 hit? You know, niggas was smoking that a little bit, and then like a year later, they was all, like, I don't know, man. I just don't know if extraction shooters are here to stay. Not the new crack.
It was just the new hot like FPS thing that they were just betting their wages on. Like, you know, like what you said with BR, they were just like, well, this could be the next new thing to hit the market, the next innovation in the first-person shooter multiplayer space. So we better get on it. So, you know, they started doing it. I think Dell said this. He said, he tweeted one time, which he was 100% right. He said, a lot of people don't know this, but right now there's a bunch of studios that are making the exact same game right now, but we won't know until the next couple of years. He says like back in 2022, 2021, and he was basically saying they're all making extraction shooters simultaneously. All the studios are coming up with doing the exact same game, and they're trying to get them out onto market.
This is why pragmata is important. Make what the fuck you want. God damn, bro.
Oh yeah,
more replace.
What a fucking surprise, right? Like we talked about 97% of studios making live service games, and now you all are trying to hop on the extraction shooter wave and get that going, man. It's just literally history just keeps repeating itself. But it's like, are you going to be super popular? Because like I feel like the extraction shooter, BR was one thing, especially with Fortnite, it made it so accessible for everybody to just hop on and play, especially with it being on every damn platform that you can think of. Extraction shooter is... You can make it as casual as you want. Cause remember, we literally just talked about potential Disney extraction shooter with Mickey and stuff.
Hannah Montana, the extraction.
Yeah, so like we'll see if you can truly make this a casual concept. But right now, the extraction shooter is still a super hardcore market, even with Marathon. Like you kind of gotta really be like super honed in on it in order to truly play. And Tarkov is super dark, so like all these games. It takes a certain genre. A casual can't just pick it up and just automatically master it. So it'll be interesting to see, like, once all these extraction shooters come out, what the people care. Because again, I'm looking at this thread here, and they're like, "Oh, damn, this is like the 5th extraction shooter out. Like, we don't want this anymore." But again, we keep honing back to it. If you don't want it, then just don't support it. I'm not trying to again say that I want every extraction shooter that comes out to die, but just show them that this is not what we want, and you know, we can truly make a difference. But yeah, it's not looking good. Like this whole, they're like, yeah, I don't like this announcement. This is like Marathon. I don't want another extraction shooter. But then they'll turn around and still be on GTA 5. So I don't even know. Like you still say that. So like y'all like
CJ gonna extract. Okay, we might, if CJ gonna extract, we can do the extraction shooter, bro.
You know what's funny? There's this tweet I saw. I didn't dare retweet it or quote tweet it because I was like, this is going to get a lot of people angry, but there's some truth to it. I saw this tweet on the timeline that said, unfortunately, he said, I'm starting to think that a lot of gamers are propping up a lot of mediocre games because of their hatred of the AAA space.
Oh, I retweeted that. Yeah, I agreed with that.
I'm really starting to believe that is that.
Yeah, one of them was in our group chat. The Steve DB watcher.
I think it's true though. I think a lot of this like stupid ass culture war and a lot of this just stupid, just argumentative tribalism has just caused a lot of people to just dig their heels in the sand, not play play a bunch of different games or play the games that they apparently don't like. They just want to say that like, oh no, my game's better, and I'm willing to fight it. And then I think it's also kind of what you're saying, like it's this trend of like a lot of people were upset about AAA space. I saw this video and I was like, what happened where we went from a decade ago where we used to clown people being overexcited for games, like a lot, and I kind of miss that era now, where it's just like a lot of people were just excited, oh boy, here comes the new trailer, and they're all excited with the reaction and stuff like that. And now we've completely gone to the other end spectrum of just now, like now every reaction is just like, how can I criticize or what?
That era of like R.I.P. to old boy Etika, like the Joy-Con boys when they would like kind of overreact to everything. Yeah. I'd rather, as long as it was, I'd rather deal with that shit.
I'd rather deal with that.
Yeah, I agree.
And
I agree.
I think like the team art and stuff like that. Like I feel like I'd rather take that back now. In retrospect, I've seen the opposite end of it. It's like I hate it. Like I absolutely hate what like the type of like reaction culture has been now, which is just like, how can we find something to hate on, or just specifically like I'm going to prop up, which we've seen before. We've seen people look prop up games that are just like, I don't know if we should be really throwing over talking about game of the year about this type of game, but they're willing to just do it because it fits the agenda that they want it to fit. So they're just willing to just whatever it takes. I'm willing to sell that. So
I think my main question is just why though. Like why would a regular average gamer be like, yo, I'm upset at the AAA space? Like why?
To be fair, it's a two-sided street, right? Like they've had disappointing releases. Like they've had overhyped games that came out that was like that promised them the moon and back, and it didn't deliver on that. So they kind of feel like they've been betrayed by a company. They don't understand how game development works, so they kind of have an ignorant belief or thing. They take a lot of things personally. Kind of what we also said too is just like, unfortunately, like this hobby it attracts a lot of socially inept men and just people in general who just are like locked indoors, who lack any sort of social skills or nuance. No child left behind is another aspect. No one can think critically anymore. Everyone's really stupid. So you have a mixture of all these terrible elements, and they're all coming together. And the growth of I'd say like from like the 2010s onward, where now you have this group of people who've been birthed into this era or been introduced into gaming into an era where now it's all about like live service. It's all about the recurring Minecraft, GTA, and that is their best games of all time. Like they didn't grow up in an era like where we grew up. I've kind of said it before, where it's like when we grew up, we were blessed, I guess. And the idea that we grew up with the internet. We grew up when the internet was being formed, and then as it grew into what it's become now, we kind of seen it evolve into these different stages as we grew up as well. And I don't think nowadays, like what you say to me, kids don't have that. Like they've been introduced into these algorithms. Yeah.
Now that I think about it too, I feel like with this generation of gamers, it's really weird because I don't know about y'all, but I don't remember once as a kid, not even in my teenage years, looking at an earnings report for a game company.
No.
And to be fair,
never care, bro.
And to be fair, we only do it here on this podcast because we're trying to have like higher level conversations. But like, it's really weird to go on Twitter and see somebody who doesn't have a YouTube channel, a Twitch channel, like it's just somebody on Twitter talking about like earnings reports for some random like indie studios. And I'm like, bro, what is it? Why don't you just promote a game you like?
I think really like the game I think that really changed everything. And this might be a crazy take. I think the game that really fucked everything up was Mass Effect 3. I think that was like the first game that I think like broke the zeitgeist, where like people were very upset, and it went to that point where people were like, they were trying to figure out who worked on the game. Like that was the first time I feel like
devs were getting threatened.
It was a threat.
They forced the ending.
Then they were talking about like, then they were looking at shareholding stuff. Then they were talking about
that day one DLC.
Yeah, the DLC that pissed people off, and then like a lot of like, and people were already upset with EA. But that kind of like, I feel like that was when like I feel like a lot of the anger started to manifest into like something really.
I would say I wouldn't say that was. I would say that's patient zero. Like that maybe started it, but I feel like
the catalyst.
I feel like the catalyst was Anthem. I feel like the catalyst was Anthem.
I think it was Anthem because I feel like Andromeda got just as bad.
Which one came first? Was it Andromeda or Anthem? EA sucks.
It was 2017 when Anthem came out.
God, okay, then Andromeda. We go with Andromeda. Yeah.
I think even before that, so I'm pretty sure there was stuff. If we're being real here, I think it was Anthem. I'm not Anthem. I think it was Mass Effect 3 and then Destiny. Because I think Destiny was a big betrayal. Remember when it came out and everyone was like,
Taken King, yeah. That was the first game I got a death threat over, yeah.
Yeah, like when Destiny came out, like Destiny was lauded and was marketed to be this, like, it was supposed to be the next Halo. Like it was supposed to be.
I remember you and I were talking about, oh, this looks like Mass Effect. I remember us hyping that shit up.
It was supposed to be like a big, like I remember in Bungie and Activision, they were hyping it. Like I remember the vid docs to this day, like it was supposed to be this like next generation lightning in a bottle. We're making the new Halo, and it's an MMORPG or MMO version of Halo. And I remember like the disappointment. I mean, we had a fun time. We were laughing. We had a good laugh about the whole thing. But like, I remember like that was like a big moment where a lot of people were just like, they were really pissed off. 2014 was just really bad. Watch Dogs, that's another one. Watch Dogs was a big.
Yeah, that was a big catalyst.
Catalyst too. I think it was just like these big high release games that came out.
I don't think it's 100. I don't think it's 100% games. I also think it correlates with. I stand on it has more to do with real life, and I think people are bringing real life issues into gaming. Because after 2014, 2016, I stand on that. I know Gen Z doesn't want to hear it, but 2016 is one of the worst years to ever exist.
Yeah, that timeline broke. There was some really big cultural shit that happened in 2016, like really awesome shit. But I think I think that was the catalyst year. 2016.
When he came down the escalator and you all fell for it, that just fucked everything up.
Everything, yeah, and then that impacted. There's an interesting. Article, not even article, but I think there's an interesting, post analysis of how the whole culture war in gaming and gamergate. Again, like I'm not deep into that, but I have read a couple things and watched a couple like backgrounds about like how that entire thing had happened in like 2014, 2015, how that can be actually linked to Trump and linked to how that power structure actually ended up impacting United States, which is crazy to think about how video games could do that. But I mean, Epstein.
I was about to say, wasn't that an Epstein files though?
I mean, yeah, Epstein was involved in the gaming industry, so like, in the culture war and setting up some of these like political like movements and takes. So like, it doesn't shock. It's like you wouldn't believe it, but then when you read the Epstein files, you're like, holy fuck, it's not a conspiracy. It's actually like. It's an actual truth.
You're
now.
A victim.
Yeah, you've been manipulated like the whole time. So I don't know. I don't know what we got off to about this being a tangent, but
life being depressing,
Yeah, the world sucks. The world sucks right now.
Yeah.
That's all I got on my show notes. Do you guys want to add anything else before we wrap up?
That SP, my Game Boy Advance SP that I found. I went to GameStop. They had these retro charging cables. I found one. They had one for the Game Boy Advance SP. I plugged it in today, and it actually charged. And my Pokemon disc actually loaded up, and it was my brother's. And I saw that he was playing it, and it was like second gym in, so that was really cool.
No.
Yeah, it was kind of nostalgic to turn it on. Oh, also, I didn't realize now that I'm an adult, but looking at it as a kid, like how pushed in the screen is, because like there's like a layer that has the backlight for it. I never realized that. Until like looking at it as an adult, I'm like,
it's because your eyes are old now, so you notice everything.
But I didn't realize how small it was. I was like, I used to think as a kid it was so big. Now I'm looking at it like,
well, you are bigger though, so yeah, that makes more sense.
Yeah, it's wild, yeah.
Freaking, before we wrap it up, one thing I wanted to say too, I'm disappointed to hear. I just read a report that the AYN Thor. I'm pretty sure we talked about that on. They reduced the power of it because of the RAM shortage. They made an announcement on their Discord that like they're cutting back on the RAM, so it's not going to be as powerful. I'm like, oh, there's no point. I kind of want one.
I want one.
The price point is going to be the same though, but they're reducing the amount of RAM that's in it. And I was like, man, that's like the ultimate. I've been looking at videos of shout out to Mighty Keith. He's been posting on Twitter. I'm getting kind of jealous. I was like, I kind of want one, man.
Yeah, the 3DS, Switch type of thing.
Yeah,
that's the one thing about the Steam Deck. I like the Steam Deck for my Switch stuff, but like the three, like I want to play some 3DS stuff, 2-screen stuff, and it's not
nice little travel device or something. But that's all.
Yeah.
So just be aware of that.
Go ahead. That. because my chat told me about this. I don't know if I brought this up in the podcast. I think they said the Switch is going up in price too, right? Like in June or something like that, right?
I haven't seen that.
I could have swore they said that.
They'd be dumb to do that because the sales are down like 30%.
Yeah, but they were announcing when the whole thing was going on that they were going to increase the price, or maybe they went back on it. Yeah.
I'm Googling it.
Nintendo was announcing the digital versions of Switch would be priced at where is it?
Video Game Chronicle says the Switch 2 price is going up. Eventually, it's inevitable. Nintendo sales lead says, "Oh, so Nintendo did say it."
Yeah,
there's no definitive date, but it is coming. Basically.
Starting May 2026, they said the Switch 2 pricing is going to change.
I guess we'll see next month.
The price of physical games, but we know that probably that means the Switch. So I was just saying this to say, if you're like me, which I was going to say, if you have an original Switch like I do, obviously the Switch 2 is just going to be an upgrade for you. But GameStop. And you have like a Series X, like I have a Series X that I haven't turned on for a while. If you turn in those, you can get about $380 for an Xbox Series X, and you can get about $180, like about $100 something for the Switch. Do it now if you're not playing it. If you have like old consoles that you're not playing anymore and you don't plan on retroing them, sell them now before the price hikes go up, and then get what you want, like get a Switch 2 now, or get whatever platform you want to get your hands on now. Like make I hate to say the GameStop, but make the trade in now, because I went to even some retro mom and pop places. I called them up, and none of them had as good as a trade in price that GameStop has right now for like those consoles. So do it now while you still have a window.
This man got some GameStop propaganda going on, man.
I dead ass. I was literally on Twitch. I was live streaming, and I was calling them live. So people were listening to me talk to them. I was literally like, I went to for people in Michigan, like I have people in my chat who are also in Michigan. I was asking them, I was like, what are some retro places that you guys know that sell consoles that I could reach that's not GameStop? And people gave me like 4. I called 4 of them, and none of them had anything close to what GameStop was offering, which is a little disappointing. So, and half of them didn't even have Switch 2s. So, I mean,
I'm keeping my Switch, bro. I'm trying to run it up. I'm keeping all my old consoles.
I have
We'll see in 10 years. We'll see.
I have another Switch that's just fresh out the box. I ended up getting it for free. And I might just end up giving that to them.
Yeah,
I would say give that to the kids.
Yeah, give it to the kids, or I'd say sell it and get a Switch.
But I have one already, so so they have, and then I'm planning on, like I said, if I'm going to get a Switch 2, then I might well just give them that one, and then just keep obviously the Switch I already have set up. So.
Yeah, because like you said, right now there's a bunch of stock, so GameStop might be doing some trade-in promo for your stuff.
I got one more story for y'all. I'm just scrolling the timeline. This one popped up. YouTube is shutting down the clips feature and replacing it with share the timestamp, which is a shame, because all they had to do to fix the clips feature on YouTube is make it to where you could download clips. That was the only thing I didn't like about YouTube. You could clip stuff, but then you could only share the link. They should have made it like Twitch where you could download clips, but they're getting rid of it. And now it's only shares a timestamp. So it's just the same thing. They're just getting rid of the name, basically. That fucking sucks. I thought y'all was supposed to be trying to lean more into this live stream and shit. I'm trying to get the YouTube stream going. Come on now. But yeah, that's all I got for y'all. All right, Jay, you got the floor. What's your closing statement for episode 186 of the GI podcast?
Yes. So you missed Watts. She's going to be out for another week, so you're going to get another dual cast at least. I hope she's having fun. I saw she went to a concert. She saw Japan. She saw so to say a little their skyline. Yeah, creepy nuts. She saw my group. That's still the funniest thing. I've never heard this band. So it's not like she's having the time though. So shout out to our sister, the 4th member here. One thing I wanted to know. We talked about it last week with a conversation when we were speaking about the video game industry and the death of it, and how California is apparently the root of all evil when it comes to video game industry. Another tweet went out that was once again talking about the stats of where the most layoffs have come from. And again, in that same thread was multiple people being racist, and again talking about the woke and DEI and how it all comes from California. I don't know what y'all agenda is against California, but y'all really need to chill, man. Like, just use critical thinking here. If California is one of the meccas of the video game industry and it has the majority of video game studios, then naturally the majority of layoffs are going to come from California. And that does not say that, oh, the U.S. is the only region that had layoffs or suffered anything. We literally just talked about last week how Kazan and Wu Chang just disbanded their entire team. Now, whether they still have a job is a different story, because they said that, yeah, they moved on to other projects, but that does not exempt South Korea, that does not exempt China, that does not exempt Japan. I really need for y'all to really do your research and not just saying, oh, California bad. Like, this narrative, I don't know why it's gaining steam, but it's very, very annoying, and we need to chill out on that.
I'd go as far as to say it's anti-American if you are American and you're listening. Like, why do you want one of the states in the union to fail? Because fun fact, for those of you unaware, California has the 4th largest GDP in the world. Not in the United States, the 4th largest GDP in the world. It has more money in the state of California than most countries in the world. If the state of California collapses tomorrow, hate to break it to you, but a lot of you PS4 ninjas will not be getting your food stamps. Go ahead, Ethos. Real shit. I don't understand it, bro.
Anywho, on a lighter note, I got my tickets pre-ordered for the Michael movie. I'm very excited to see it.
Wait, what's that? Oh, the Michael Jackson.
Movie.
I'm tired.
Yeah.
When did that come out?
I'm really excited to look at that. I feel
This
like that's
week.
This week.
Oh,
Yeah.
shit. I
feel like that's a movie, just a recommendation, guys, to go see in the theater with a bunch of people. Like, I feel like that's going to be like one of those like good movies you want to be with, like, around people.
Everybody's going to be dancing and shit.
Yeah. It's going to be a fun movie.
Yeah, I got an early screening,
I
got an early screening for it, but we probably can't get a babysitter, so we'll probably wait. But yeah, my wife said she wants to see the movie in theater, so we'll see it.
It looks
2 hours and 30 minutes, it says online.
yeah, and everything. Like,
I'm glad you said that. I didn't know it came out this week.
Yeah, see if you get some tickets, you get some IMAX tickets or something like that, because I feel like that's going to be a really fun, like, social movie to see with other people, where you're not going to be mad if people are singing in the theater or something like that. So
yeah, we on that. And then my closing statement for tonight. The the playoffs are going on in the NBA, and despite what somebody says in the group chat, Nomad, I am not a highlight watcher. 76ers and the Celtics are playing in the first round, and funny enough, the Sixers begged for the Celtics in the first round, and tonight they got bent over. So I think they lost by like 30 points. So make sure that if you made it to this part of the podcast, make sure to leave in the comment section. Philly bent over by the Celtics.
This better not fucking lose, bro. I swear to God, if they lose this series,
123-91. Put in the comment section, Philly bent over by the Celtics. Make sure to put that in there. Other than that, I appreciate everybody who came through to the podcast. If you're new, hit the follow button, turn on notifications so you'll know the next time we drop a pod. Hit the like button, hit the hype button, hit the hype button, hit the hype button. Rate the show 5 stars, and we'll see you on the next episode of the Game Illuminati podcast, Sausage Fest edition. Peace. What's going on, Internet? The Black Okage here, aka TBH, and to be honest, I'd like to welcome everybody back to the Game Illuminati podcast. We are the Enlightened Gamers, and you're now tuned in to episode 187. If you're watching the video version of the show at youtube.com/GI Updates, know this show is available on Apple, Spotify, Amazon, and all other major podcast platforms. If you're watching on Apple or Spotify, be sure to rate the show 5 stars. We need that rating to help bring in new listeners. And if you're watching on YouTube, please hit the like button, and then after the like button, hit the hype button. When you hit that hype button, that helps us appear on the hype charts, which also helps bring in new viewers on YouTube at youtube.com/GI Updates, which is the world's best weekly gaming podcast. If you enjoy social media, follow us there. We drop daily content on our pages. We're available on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, Discord, and Facebook. Our handle on most platforms is at GI Updates. The exception being Facebook. It's facebook.com/GI podcast. Links to all our social media platforms will be in the description box below at youtube.com/GI Updates. Now, without further ado, allow me to I am the host. Allow me to introduce you to my co-hosts, the first of which is getting exposed in the playoffs. They were regular season demons, but it turns out all they need to do to beat the demons is a little Orlando magic. Ethos, say what up to the people.
how are your Wizards doing?
They suck. Wait, why do I even
I don't want to hear. Not in the playoffs. Thank you. Next person. Go ahead.
Number one also.
How about somebody who also is in the playoffs? Go ahead, Jay.
I'd argue you and the Wizards are on the same playing field.
No.
I'd rather be trash all year than number one, just to get bounced out the first round by the Orlando Magic.
Because you said before, I don't think they're gonna make the playoffs. Cade is injured. Love collapse. Now he's back. You were wrong about that. So when we beat them, the Orlando Magic, and then we make it to the next round, then what we are excused.
Doesn't matter. You're not beating the Celtics.
Yeah, does. See, here we go. Another example. Another. It'll be another.
Do you honestly believe you're gonna beat the Celtics?
Yes. I believe in Detroit.
All right. And my second co-host says it doesn't matter how old he is. He could be 37 or 67. If he sees corny shit online, he's gonna call it out. UTX, call out the Don. Say what up to the people.
Yeah, it's very weird how people are acting on the internet. I know these people don't know me, may not be familiar, but I feel like people look at me for straws now, just because they're feeling like offended. Like I have gone to the point, and I see this on the podcast comments too. People are like attacking my hairline now, thinking that it's fake. I've like just like where like just because my barber, and I'm gonna shout out my barber in a second, just because my barber makes my shit crispy and I still have a hairline, niggas are like trying to like just find something, like be a man and make fun of my head size like teenagers have been doing for all these years. No, don't come in the hairline. It just seems like you're jealous. You're jealous because you can't find anything. I'm sorry, man. If you're offended because I talk about your precious savior Drake, or I talk about the ball and gun gamers, man, all this shit is corny. Y'all look corny, and somebody gotta point it out. So take it from an OG like myself. Stop doing corny shit online. If nobody else gonna tell you, I'm gonna tell you.
I fully expect at least 1/3 of the comments on this week's podcast to be about your hairline and about how niggas fuck more bitches and drive faster cars than all of us now because of you.
I'm married. I've been out the game for so long. Like none of that stuff even matters. Like people trying to call me an incel. I'm like,
I missed this. Who did JG piss off?
I don't know. I just seen him on Twitter. He tweeted that shit. That's where I be getting it from. Who did you piss off before we get into this show?
It was the Drake stands this time because I was pointing out how corny they were acting with the ice. And
ice stuff.
Yeah. I'm like, nah, bro. I'm like, I don't care. You can like what you like, but y'all are doing some weird stuff. I'm sorry. The youth is on some weird stuff.
They just for years. You gotta let them have their little.
I'm pointing out, bro. And they just keep rehashing the same points every single time.
I did see a video when he stacked all the ice, and after they revealed the release date of the Iceman album, the ice was still there. It wasn't even like 80% melted, and apparently like some homeless people were sitting on it shooting up dope, and like people were just it was a video on TikTok. And like you saw it, Jay? And like people were just recording and laughing, and I'm like, this is like sad and weird. Like maybe I'm getting old, but I'm like, this is not like a spectacle. Like I don't get it, man. Like they were just sitting on top of the ice mountain shooting up dope, and they thought it was the funniest thing ever. That I was like, yeah, that's kind of corny and weird, but you know.
They look at ice. They had the sledgehammers out, the blow torches. They were doing a lot, man. I'm just saying. I
don't know if that ice is still there. If it is, before you lick it, just know dope fiends was shooting up and shitting all over that Stillbrook guys. But that has nothing to do with gaming. So let's draw it back. Let's talk some gaming. This week, no new games had came out, but some interesting topics did come up. Ethos dropped this one in the group chat. So I wanted to hear his take on this because he said this would be good for the podcast. Now, I'm not going to play the audio because it's 60 seconds and they're not going to be able to hear it. You guys would be, but they wouldn't be to hear it. But they saw the video. So I'm just going to break down what actually happened. This is a video from PC Gamer they posted on their socials where they were asking, I guess, random people at this event their gaming hot take. And this woman right here basically said that competitive gamers are not real gamers. Then she went on to elaborate and said, basically, if all you play is Call of Duty, 2K, Madden, FIFA, Fortnite, those ball and gun games. She doesn't want to hear your opinion on games like strategy games, RPGs, and racing, whatever else in between, especially like around award season and stuff like that. Before I toss it to you, for me, I don't know why Ethos thought this was like a crazy topic to talk.
You're missing her words because she didn't say that exactly.
Oh, go ahead. What
she was
wrong?
specifically referring. She said competitive like FPS shooters, like people who play competitive games, like very hardcore competitive games. They aren't necessarily hard or like real gamers in regards to like if all you play is like Valorant ranked, you know, like League of Legends ranked, like hardcore, like ranked competitive statured style, like first person shooters, that you shouldn't technically have your, not, she, like what you said, she was being facetious on the whole, like you're not a real gamer, but she clarified to be more of like, well, you know, you shouldn't be in the conversation talking about other games that are like really not in that circle that you really focus on.
Is that not pretty much? I mean,
no, because you said ball and gun gamers. She didn't bring up 2K. You ain't got to install 2K players. Come on now.
Yeah, but you could throw them in there because the 2K does fall under the gun. She was pretty much talking about ball and gun. I get where you're going. It was a little bit more nuanced, but she was pretty much talking about ball and gun games.
Well,
you could throw 2K in there.
I think there's a difference between what I feel is like a ball and gun gamer who's just casually playing Call of Duty than like a hardcore.
Specifically,
like,
somebody who plays like ranked and
shit.
Yeah,
because I wouldn't say a ball and gun gamer is the same as someone who is a Valorant gamer. That all they play day in and day out is Valorant competitive, and that is like their bread and butter. That's all they play. Like
my bad. Hardcore ball and gun gamers. Jay, how do you feel about this topic?
Yeah, I'm kind of on the same end of the spectrum as you, TBH. I feel like this is just a variant of the ball and gun gamer conversation, but yeah, this one is specialized towards the competitive, hardcore, like esports type of gamer. And she's right. I mean, like I said, we've been talking about this. We broke it down in so many different ways. I also don't agree that it's not as much of a hot take, but I think one is coming from a girl, so you already know they gonna just crap on her regardless. They go like, oh, girl said that she crapping on it. So that's one thing. And two, I just think it's just because of like how she said it. She specializes towards the more competitive gamers. But yeah, I mean, it's the same thing. Like if you locked in on one particular ball and gun game and you're playing it competitively, you're playing it professionally, you're playing in esports or whatever, and you have the nerve to try to talk about another game that you have no idea about when it comes towards awards time, then yeah, I feel like you're not a real gamer as well. Like we have a category for you, and that's okay. But I would not consider those type of people, you know, in our definition, a real gamer, because you're just locked in on one particular type of game, and that's all that you do, which is fine. You can play it, but I don't think that you have the knowledge to, you know, hop in on some of the other conversations surrounding games that you typically don't play and don't know anything about.
I feel like what she said in the beginning, she did clarify and give a more nuanced answer, but the opening answer was, you're not a real gamer, and then she laughed before she cleaned it up. And me personally, a PhD in comedy, jokes are half truths. I feel like that's how she generally feels, but you know, you got to give a more politically correct answer because you don't want to piss people off on the internet. I wouldn't go as far as to say people who only play 2K or like Call of Duty are not real gamers. I would just say they're hardcore casuals, because I'm not. You said what? Go ahead.
What if this was on the other foot? What if this was like a hardcore person that only plays like a certain RPG? Let's say if there was a person that only played Baldur's Gate 3 the year that it came out and didn't play anything else, would they still be considered a real gamer?
What's the rest of their background? Is it Baldur's Gate 3 the only game they've ever played?
The same scenario. Let's just say Switch. So instead of it being like a hardcore, like what she said, like hardcore shooter,
that's a good question, actually.
Is there a discrimination just because of they're only playing like a 2K, like let's say it was like same thing, hardcore 2K player, but let's put it on the other foot and say this person only played, let's say if it was the game of the year, let's say they only played Activision, or let's say they only played Silksong, and they played it hardcore, they put 300 hours, but that was the only game that they really played. Would you call them a real gamer?
Well, it depends, because I don't feel like those people that you're describing are on social media bitching about what did and didn't win. So it's like,
hypothetically, let's say they were. Well, you could say there were some Silksong people.
There was Silksong was.
That's the exception. I give you that.
Yeah, they were going online, getting mad at other games were getting awards.
I would still say personally yes, because again, the distinction between like just a regular, you know, casual gamer and someone who would come online and you know, talk about their discourse and try to, you know, put the agenda on their favorite game or their favorite genre. I still feel like you're still being ignorant. It doesn't matter what genre that you're into. Like a cozy gamer could do the same thing. A person who only plays gacha games, it could be the same thing. So, like I said, we just shit on the ball and gun gamers because they have been the most vocal, and I feel like a lot of the games that they play, first of all, they're either annual releases or games that have been out for at least like 5 to 10 years. So that's a whole different conversation. So they're in a whole different bucket here. But I feel like this could be applied across the board. for it. If you only play one genre or one type of game and that's all that you play, fine. I don't care how many hours you put into it. But if you decide to come online and start talking about things that you don't know and start trying to fuel your agenda, then yeah, I also would consider you not a real gamer.
What if they go online? What if they don't go online, but that's all they play? Would you still qualify them as a real gamer?
Again, it depends on your knowledge. Like, what's your background? Like, they go back to what T-Bag is saying. What is your background? It's fine if you're playing that one game or that genre of game, but have you ever played anything else, or is that the only thing that you play? If that's the only thing that you play and that's the only thing that you know and you don't know about anything else, you never go outside your bubble, like to play any other genre, like ever, then no, I don't consider you a real gamer.
Because so I'm leaning towards, if they only played something hardcore like Baldur's Gate 3, I would be more inclined to give them the gamer card versus not, for like a couple reasons. I think like I can use like a real world analogy. Like, if you throw a kid into the kiddie side of the pool versus throwing them into the deep end, one's gonna learn how to swim and one's not. If you throw them into the deep end with Baldur's Gate, I feel like the skills that you learn in that game translate way over better. Matter of fact, I was watching a video earlier today where this guy was clowning on this one dude because he was bitching and saying that Invincible Versus is a trash game that was way too hard to learn how to play. And he said that he didn't want to hear that he was trash at fighting games because he plays Injustice a lot. And the dude in the video was like, Injustice is one of the most kiddie-ass fighting games you could play because most of it is just zoning. And I thought about that, and I was like, yeah, I think because my background is more in Street Fighter, Tekken, Soul Calibur, those skills translate way. I can pick up Invincible. Day 2, I was doing 30-hit combos. So, like, if you're playing Baldur's Gate 3, a game with a lot of different moving pieces and systems, I'm sorry, you probably do have the IQ to pick up and play 2K, but not in reverse. 2K is a very easy game to pick up. So I would lean more towards, yeah, I'd probably say there probably are more of a gamer just because it does take more depth to learn those type of games. What do y'all think about that thought?
I can halfway agree with it, but I'm still sticking to my stance. If you're just stuck in that one genre and you literally don't go outside and you don't really know anything outside of what you like, then I can't really consider you a real gamer. But like I said, it really gets to, if you go online trying to act like you're knowledgeable about something else, but you don't play the other games or you don't research those games, you really know nothing about it, then
that was me answering Ethos's question. My real personal answer, I don't give a fuck who's a real gamer and who's not. I don't care. I'm gonna be honest. I think this entire conversation is corny since we're talking about corny shit. I would not go as far as like if somebody plays 2K for 2,000 hours a year straight, I'm not gonna say they're not a fucking gamer, bro. That's a gamer. That being said, you are more. If that's all you play, I would just say you're a hardcore casual. Just stop talking about things going on in the greater industry and stick to what you know is all I would ask. That's always been my beef with them, but I wouldn't go as far as to say, oh, you're not a gamer, because I'm not going to take away from somebody who spends thousands of hours playing ranked on Valorant.
I bring this up because I feel like a lot of people who get mad at us kind of conflate and misunderstand, like when we're talking about this, like a lot of people say, just let people play what they want to play, and they kind of just equate that, like when we're talking about like, oh, you shouldn't be talking about this or that, or like an authenticity. That like certain people shouldn't be able to have those discussions or even bring them up because of what you guys are saying. It's like, okay, I was just curious about like the theory of like, okay, if does the hypothetical still hold water if it's just like if the shoe's like on the other side of the foot, like if it's a different type of a game. So if it's not just like, oh well, people are just shitting on because they don't like Call of Duty, they don't like, you know what I mean, like if the reason why people like to clown these people is because the games and the groups that they represent, people clown, like don't like those games, or like more universally compared to like a game that's more universally beloved. If you swap that, is there a little bit of a difference in the perception?
So you think this is a popularity thing, like just
I wonder if there's shit? Yeah, I do wonder if it's like most popularly dislike this thing, right? Like a Valorant player, for example, right? If we're talking like a hardcore, someone puts 3,000 hours in, top 200%, 2% tile of the best shooter players of all time, like considerably, like probably from a very skilled player to like master that level of like skill compared to, I'd argue a person who plays Baldur's Gate from like if you swap both of them, I think that I'll give you a good example. Did you guys see the thing with I thought it was hilarious. It was a joke, but I thought it was funny. Did you guys see the video of the guy who was like the really top tier like CSGO player? and he got Resident Evil Requiem, and he played it. He was like peeking corners and shit as Leon. He was like,
he's playing like Call of Duty in the like.
Yeah, with that little translation where he was like translating his like he's gonna peek me, and he's like peeking corners and stuff like that. Kind of like a Rainbow Six Siege type of gameplay. And everybody was laughing because they thought it was funny as hell. Compared to what people are usually expect from like that sort of thing. Is it really that like translation, or is it really just like, you know, if you can take hardcore, there can still be a respect of, well, if you're, you know, you spend thousands of hours on any type of game, regardless of the type of genre. The only genre I don't give that respect to is gacha, because I don't really feel like gacha really truly has a sort of...
Spending thousands of hours putting your credit card in isn't a skill.
It's not, that's not really translates anything.
Gacha gamers are the only exception to this. I think like a lot of genres, even if I want to give it to Call of Duty, I think a lot of them have their own skill sets and things that other genre gamers could learn from and translate to. Like, for example, if it comes to like someone who does not touch 2K like myself, like I don't play a lot of basketball games. I play like 1 or 2 my entire life. Well, maybe 4 if I talk about my childhood. But like if I translate and went to 2K, I think that like obviously I could like, oh, well, tell me how the mechanics work, and I can translate that from like a game standpoint. But I think when you talk about like the meta of like understanding how basketball is played, I think that like for you to be good at 2K, I think you have to still understand fundamentally like how
the average 2K player doesn't.
Oh, I know that.
They don't eat those. You don't have to know basketball in order to play 2K. Them niggas be cheating, bro. All they gotta find out is what's the best build, and then they just go in. None of that shit matters.
Hide behind screens and shoot threes. What is it? And that's what they do.
Like the high percentile.
I still would argue the niggas in 2K League, they were doing 5 out at one point. They don't care, bro. They know IQ. They know IQ for that.
Certain skills, if you play Baldur's Gate 3, that will translate better versus if you play 2K and try to go to Baldur's Gate. It doesn't translate, bro.
I'm not rolling with that.
I would love to know your... Let us know in the comment section. I would love to know.
Somebody who plays it all. I don't think so, man.
I would love to know.
Matter of fact, we know them skills don't translate in certain games. An example being fighting games. Yeah, I'm sorry. Invincible Versus is one of the easiest fighting games I've ever picked up. And half the audience, this shit is fucking hard. Man, these devs need to be, it's a sick button fighter, bro. It's not even 8.
Once y'all told me, once you and Steve told me that people were asking how to block, I was like, yeah, y'all are done, bro. I don't understand. Like, if y'all, this is literally the first fighting game that y'all ever picked up. Like, that was kind of ridiculous to see.
Could that be 2 separate groups though? Could that be like not necessarily like fighting game players, but that could have just been like Invincible watchers?
Yes, because it's popular. Yeah, because it's popular. So again, like, and I just find it weird. I mean, I understand that it's a possibility, and I'm sure that it happened here, but for you to just never play any fighting games at all, but just off the strength of like an Invincible, you're like, hey, I'm about to try this out, and you don't look at the tutorial and you're just like diving in there, you're like, where's the block button? I kind of find it to be ridiculous. Again, that's not understanding the fundamentals. That's not even saying like you don't even have to play a fighting game before. But still, like, just to go in off the strength of you liking Invincible, but not understanding like where the buttons are, is kind of ridiculous. But your point, Ethos, your conversation kind of going into like a different territory. It's kind of like a different topic here, but I'm gonna still roll with it. On a serious note, like a TBH, I don't really care. Like this whole real gamer stuff, I'm not like dying on. It doesn't really matter to me. But yeah, like I said, we have a bucket for those people that just, it doesn't matter what you play, but if you invest so many hours into one specific video game or one specific genre, then yeah, you are hardcore casual. But again, the difference, I do roll with you and TBH's point about like certain games that you play, it can translate to another type of game, but what they play is the thing. Like that, and that's really where we're trying to get to. Like, do you have an interest for playing those different type of games? If you don't, then yeah, like me personally, I just don't consider you to be a real gamer. Cause like I just would like people to just open up and at least have a couple of different genres that they like. I'm not saying you have to invest the same amount of time and energy into these different types of genres and games, but if you have a background that you played all these different games, then yeah, I would personally consider you more of a real gamer than somebody who doesn't.
I mean, listen, as long as you having fun and not giving stupid ass opinions about things you ain't played, that's all I fucking care about, bro.
Facts.
Yeah.
Other than that, this whole what's a real gamer and what's a real not.
Hey, bro, they pulling people's cars down, man. Ball and gun gamers won't get up.
I can't help but feel like I see this opinion a lot more. Like this woman that said this stuff, I can't help but feel like, do you listen to the podcast? Like, sounds a little similar. But yeah, that's interesting. Let us know in the comment section what makes a real gamer. I'm pretty sure a lot of y'all will be typing paragraphs.
Minimum.
If you weren't there in World of Warcraft early days. Here's one that I saved that I thought was interesting. Not about what's being a real gamer, but more so what makes a real reviewer. So the reviews for Returnal came out, which
Returnal, we're on.
Not Returnal, but Sorrows. My bad.
I know. Yeah.
I think that comes out this week, so I'm pretty sure we'll talk about that in the next podcast.
On the 30th, yeah.
Yeah. And for the most part. I didn't save it, so you're not going to see it on the screen, so you got to take my word for it. But I think the overall Metacritic's sitting at an 89 overall average. There was a bunch of 10s, 9s, 8s. Great reviews, one of the highest reviewed games of the year. But one of the lowest reviews this year came from IGN. And a lot of people pointed out and said, oh, IGN's being IGN again. But then I saw this tweet that came across my For You page, and I cannot figure out where this info is coming from, but I still thought it would be an interesting conversation. This person, Bonsai Boy, responded to IGN's 7 out of 10 saying, I wish more reviews had the expectation of playing a game thoroughly. This is one of the lowest review scores, but also one of the only reviewers that actually finished the game. A 7 from someone who saw the true ending is a lot more informative than a 10 from someone who has not finished the game. And I said, was this in the written review? I didn't watch the video review, and I didn't read the review either, admittedly. So maybe it's in the written review.
It says I'm left conflicted after the 22 hours I put in seeing it all the way through to its true ending. Though there's a bigger emphasis on the story this time around, but it's more ambitious in some respects, which I appreciate. But when its strongest ideas are a bit too abstracted, powerful themes can end up ringing hollow. So while it's eclipsed by its predecessor in some important ways, Saros is still worth banging in my head against over and over again.
Okay, so where I wanted to take
we know who did this. We know who did this review. Michael Hegan.
Filipino boy. Yeah, Mike.
Oh, yeah, shout out to Michael, bro. Yeah.
He's a good dude. He's a solid dude then.
Yep.
So
I respect his opinion.
Yeah, I respect his opinion too. Yeah. I'd go as far as to say I agree with this take then on Twitter, because if what they're saying is true, this is one of the only reviewers that actually finished the game, and they gave it a 7 out of 10 afterwards versus everybody else. I'm more inclined to believe that shit, especially after the Mass Effect 3 drama. But I wanted to hear y'all take on this. Like, do you need to finish a game to have a definitive opinion, or do you hold more weight for somebody who beat the game versus people who did not when it comes to their reviews?
Yeah, I think so. Which is funny, I was going to bring up the same thing. I think Mass Effect 3 was like, for me, was the catalyst of understanding that, like, I think reviewers need to beat games as best as they can, unless it's like, I give exception to, of course, if you have a Crimson Desert situation where, like, it's a massive game, but Saros is not a massive game. I think I just read in the review, it only took him 11 hours, 12 hours or something to beat. Like, he got to the true ending. He said 22. So after 22 hours, so it is much longer. But I don't think 22 hours or even under a 30 hour under 30 hour game. I don't think it's unreasonable to hope that, like, every person has beaten that game.
That's a 1 week project. If you're a game reviewer.
If you're a game reviewer, I feel like you should be able to get through that in 1 week, a week, and maybe 2 weeks at max if you have other stuff going on. But I do agree with you that, like, I think I learned a lot from Mass Effect 3, and a lot of that game, because I remember I read IGN's review when I was younger, before the game came out, because that was what I was reading before the game came out, because I was extremely excited for Mass Effect 3, and then I think the review, which IGN said it's, like, really high, I don't think the review and a lot of the Mass Effect 3 reviews ever brought up the ending. Because that game was pretty big.
It is.
So but I don't think, like, I think there's a very few amount that even questioned it. But I think a lot of them were giving the Mass Effect 3 like 9s and 10s.
Mass Effect 3 wasn't that. None of the Mass Effect games were that big. They were all like 20 to 30 hour games, weren't they? 15 to 30. That's what was so confusing about them not bringing up the endings. Let me go to how long to beat.
I mean, like, I thought 3 was pretty long, though. I mean, not like super long, but I'm pretty sure it was pretty meaty. Yeah, 36 hours, 36 and a half hours, 25 hours.
Damn,
so it's still
like 12 to me, nigga.
Yeah, no, I think 1 was fastest to beat. 2 was pretty long if you do all the side stuff, and I know 3 was.
I might be thinking of 1, then I might be thinking.
Yeah, 1 was not that long. I think you beat 1 in, like, under, like, 15 hours if you just going through it. But yeah, I think especially now, where which is funny. It's funny to me how we had literally, I think, like this argument, this conversation with Crimson Desert, where people were saying it was like, how many of these gamers actually beat the game? The game was so big, how could they do that? But then there's also the back end of, well, sometimes publishers like don't give reviewers enough time, and they have to get the reviews ready to go. So it's like, is that really their fault if they can't beat the game unless they're like a god tier?
I think
top-tier gamer?
The
Like,
conversation shifts to, then do you have a responsibility to create a more wait a week and create a more thorough review, or put it out now at the risk of credibility?
A lot of outlets have already solved that problem. Like a lot of them, like I know IGN, Games, a lot of the big guys, they had that problem. They decided on doing the review in progress. They did with Marathon. And when people were trying to act like it was some sort of conspiracy that they were trying to help Marathon not get bad reviews, because they were like, they're not releasing the scores because it's not a good game, and not because Bungie had basically insisted and said, look, there's a part of the game that's on a time release, and it's not that the content's not there. It's in the game. It's just it's a very unique aspect of how we're showcasing this content. And we feel like once that content is shown, it really shows the full depth of the game that can give like the consumer the best idea of what this whole package is. It's basically the cherry on the top for the whole package. I get the argument of like, well, you should just review it as it is if I wanted to pick it up day one, but I feel like there's an important context to that where like, you should talk about how the game is right now. But a lot of review spots have already done the whole review in progress where they might hold off on the review, or they might just give a review for what they've played up to that point and say, all right, this is where we're at right now, and then they'll update it later. But the truth is, gamers aren't going to be looking a week or two for clicks on a review of a game that's been out already for 2.5 weeks. They're not. I'm pretty sure like the you have to strike the iron while it's hot, and that iron is basically within the week before the game comes out and the week the week after the game's been out. That's usually the highest retention SEO moment where a lot of games are going to be at the height of like people looking it up, searching it, and deciding on if they're going to buy it or not. And if you miss that window, everyone else sets up already a narrative, and people listen to everybody already and already made their decision and their opinion, and they don't really care about like hearing another opinion about a said project. So yeah, I think like we've kind of solved this, but I do agree. I think we are at a point where it is necessary, where I think, especially if Saros is the case of this, because I just went through some of the ones that gave 10 out of 10s. I was just curious. So I just went through like stuff like Gaming Bolt, there was like another one I looked at really quick, like Game Surf, and I was just like control Fing. I was just like true ending, nothing. And then I'm checking Game Surf here as another reviewer. These are guys that have given it like 9s and 10s, and I'm like, okay, well, what did you say about this? And they're also not. I don't see anything to say. I don't see anything specifically in the article. This is again just me like just hard. Just typing it in to search it, but I'm not seeing anything about true ending. I'm just seeing if there's like something about the ending. Yeah, I'm not seeing any of them bring it up. So does that mean that like no one has beat the game? No, not necessarily. It's very possible that the reviewers that reviewed these games probably just didn't type it, feel like it was worth bringing it up or typing it. Some people don't really care. Some people are more about like the journey than they are about the ending. So they're like, the ending wasn't really what I cared about. I just really enjoyed my entire time playing the game. So I'm willing to like, the ending is not of a note to me personally, but other people might see it as a massive note. So yeah, I do think that I think it would be important. I think just in general, if people did have a tag on a review just to say like, yeah, this is my thoughts after beating the entire game, or this is my thoughts after playing only some blah 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 about the game. I was like, I was very close to beating the game, or almost there, or I only got halfway through it. Elden Ring was just like that. I know a couple of reviewers who had reviewed Elden Ring had stated in the reviews. I remember watching a video review. I think it was of Skillup. Skillup stated in his review, he said, look, I have not beaten this game because it is massive, but I'm telling you right now, for what I played, this is possibly game of the year. Like, and that's what made a lot of people like go like, oh, the hype went up astronomically when people were like, yo, they didn't even beat it and they were already praising it. This is again kind of a reverse of like, for certain games, that's a good thing, but for other people that's like, nah, that's a bad thing. You haven't beaten all the way through. So,
I'm leaning towards like, for a game like Saros, it could potentially be a bad thing, because I feel like that type of game attracts a very hardcore person who's probably going to want to do multiple runs and is going to want to see that true ending, because it is like a roguelike, and that's why I was leaning towards. That's why I wanted to bring it. Like, what do y'all think? What do you think, Jay?
I think in general, yeah, I would take someone's opinion who beat a game versus someone who got 70% through, 80% through. This kind of goes back to the conversation where people were like, hey, like, I saw your achievements and you didn't get this certain achievement. Therefore, why are you talking about this game, saying anything about it? So yeah, it's in general, yeah, I feel like that. But as a reviewer, especially the IGNs, the GameSpots of the world, I feel like no matter what game, no matter what genre, you can't win in these situations because you can do everything right, like in Michael's situation with this game, but they were like, "Oh, you gave it a 7. Everybody else gave it a 9 or a 10. You're IGN. You're known for this. Bad corporation. Bad." So it doesn't matter. You're all automatically, if you don't give it the score that they feel like you should get, or the scores that everybody else is giving it, then you're going to get crapped on. Ethos brought up Crimson Desert, which is the most recent and highest example so far this year. And that game was just so mixed in the beginning, and then they just continued to improve it, and more people started liking it. But there were those people who never even touched the game when the reviews came out, and they were like, "Well, how dare you? Like you didn't even beat the game." But people were like, "Hey, I have over 100 hours in this game, and this game is so massive. There's no way that we could have beat it. Like it was just impossible for us to get to the end of the game. So we did our best." All of these are technically reviews in progress, but people didn't care. If you gave it a low score, said anything bad about it, negative about it, then people just crapped on you. And I'm like, y'all don't even have 2 minutes in the game, so how could you say that this person's opinion is wrong? So it's a lose-lose no matter what, unless you're giving a game that people anticipated a high score. So that's always going to be the issue here. But I think in general, yeah, if I was pitting someone who only beat a portion of the game and they gave it a high score versus somebody who went through the entire game and got the true ending, yeah, I would accept their opinion, or I would make their opinion hold more weight than someone else who only played a portion of the game and you didn't beat it yet, or you only beat one portion. Because as in a review, if I ever look at it, I'm trying to see everything about the game. I don't want to just see a portion of the game and you're like, hey, I didn't even get to this whole part yet. So yeah, that's my opinion on the situation. But it's a lose-lose either way, no matter who you are, whether you're independent or not.
I'll tell you this much. Soros, that's a Sony exclusive, right? Sony and PC?
Yes.
Listen, Sony ponies, y'all know I get on y'all ashes, man. Y'all love to talk about how PlayStation is the greatest platform of all time, but last year, 9 of the top 10 best-selling games were live service games. I think the only exclusive that was on there was Ghost of Yotei, and it was like number 8. I better see y'all buying, as much as y'all love the PS5, I better see y'all buying that Soros, man. It's got tens across the board. Somebody better be playing this shit. And I better not see NBA 2K27 at number 1 again, like it was last year with 2K26.
Don't worry, it will.
We'll be on it. We'll be supporting the PlayStation, but I just find it very funny. None of these games are at the top of the fucking sales. But yeah, that's a fun conversation. Let us know in the comment section what y'all think. Would you hold more weight for somebody who finished the game? Does it matter? Specific games like Ethos is saying, or like they always have to beat it? Let us know when it comes to this review. This is why I stick to impressions nowadays, so you can just stay out of that shit. Other news, Ubisoft finally let the cat out of the bag. The industry's worst kept secret, Assassin's Creed Black Flag Resynced, is officially here. It will be launching July 6, 2026, I believe, for every major platform. It is a total remake of Assassin's Creed Black Flag, which is one of the most beloved in the series, with a more heavy focus on Edward Kenway's adventure. So I believe they're taking out all of the modern sections with the Templars, and they're focusing on him. And in exchange, you're getting better visuals. They reworked the combat. There's more story content, like there's new characters in there. It'll give you like new abilities and stuff like that. And yeah, it's coming out this year. No DLC though. No DLC. It's just the base game with some new side quests and stuff like that. So don't expect the DLC with Adewale, the Freedom Cry stuff. How we feeling about this, Jay? We picking up this resync, baby?
Well, I am again not one to really speak on Assassin's Creed because I started at Odyssey, so I'm kind of out of the conversation here. But just from the outside looking in, it looks like people are excited about this. As you said, it's one of the most beloved games in the franchise. So I can see how people want to play a remaster version of it, or resync as they want to call it here. Looked at the combat revamps. It looks pretty fluid. They got the parry system going there. It looks pretty smooth as far as the combat is concerned. I can't really speak. I would have to look at earlier footage to see what it looked like compared to what it does now as far as the combat. But I know that one of the things that everybody continues to talk about is the ship combat. And for me personally, like I said, Black Flag was not my cup of tea because I'm not a pirate fan at all. But I did do ship combat in Odyssey, so I did get a small little taste of how that combat was in the Ubisoft universe. So I can see why people did like it. But you know, the whole controversy behind that, you know, they try to make Skull and Bones and you know that quadruple A title, whatever the hell they want to call it, didn't end up working out how they thought it would. So for them to now bring it back and put it in Black Flag and make a remaster is cool. So I'm sure that a lot of people do enjoy that. But my question is, will it be enough to, I guess, like right the ship with Ubisoft? Because it just seemed like they've been making a lot of bad moves. So we all knew that this was coming, but will it be enough to bring people back not only to the franchise of Assassin's Creed, but to Ubisoft period? Because it just seemed like they're just throwing this at the fans and like, hey, like here's some nostalgia for you. Let's see if this will work. So that's just my biggest question is will people just eat the candy and then just forget about anything else that Ubisoft has been doing over the past 3 to 5 years, probably even longer than that?
I have some positives and some negatives. All right, so the positives. I did see some people on social media trying to say that this version of the game does not look better. I don't see a difference. I think you guys are being disingenuous. I can see a difference. Now, is the difference that big that it warrants a $70 price tag? Probably not, especially if you've already played this game. I feel like this is great for those who've maybe been interested in this game but never got around to playing the original in 2013. Then yeah, sure, pick it up. But if you played it already, I don't really see a reason to go back and revisit this unless you just want to relive your childhood. But it does look much more vibrant. The character models, like the face models, look a lot better. I do like the inclusion of some new narrative abilities and stuff. Not abilities, but narrative stuff in the story. It looks okay. It looks okay. I just don't see anything here worth $70 because I already beat the game. And I'm going to be honest, I have it in the closet. If I really wanted to play it again, I'd boot up the old Xbox 360. The negative side of things, though, what I do think this game proves, I'm probably about to piss some people off, is gamers once again don't know what they want. We constantly have this conversation on the podcast, and I think this game is another great example. It's funny you brought up Odyssey, JG, because the same reason a lot of people hated Odyssey, for some reason now they love this game. Because I'm going to be honest, from what they did with the changes in the combat, it looks like Assassin's Creed Odyssey, Valhalla, Origins. It has the same exact kind of parry button. It has a little skill tree at the bottom where you hold the trigger and then you hit the corresponding button and it does an ability. That's from the new games. But you guys hated those games, and not everybody, but a lot of you hated those games, especially Odyssey, said it was not an Assassin's Creed game, which is interesting because Odyssey has more implications on the Assassin's timeline than this fucking game does. He does not even become an assassin, spoiler, till the end of the goddamn game. It doesn't do, he just, if you haven't played this game, the game literally opens up with a dead body on the beach. He finds the dead body. He was an assassin. He puts the cloaks on. Now he's an assassin. I was like, bro, get this shit the fuck out of here, bro. I just didn't, don't get me wrong. Black Flag is a good pirate game. It's not a good Assassin's Creed game, in my opinion. And if you're okay with that, then I would say pick it up. But I just find it very interesting. The same reasons a lot of people hated Origins, Odyssey, and Valhalla, they're now praising this. Because I'm like, that's all they did. Matter of fact, they admitted that they didn't build this game from the ground up. It's just using an updated version of the Anvil system, which would be Valhalla, Odyssey. It's using the same fucking mechanics, and I see people on social media be like, yo, this is da-da-da-da. I thought you guys hated this. Which one is it? I don't know.
Hey, wake it up. Where before you get to eat those, in your personal opinion, where does Black Flag rank in your Assassin's Creed?
I'm the wrong person to ask. I'm biased. Okay. I don't like pirates. I've never wanted scurvy. I don't like being dirty. I didn't find his story to be particularly interesting. I don't like Edward. I just don't like pirates, so I'm biased. I'm the wrong person to ask.
I don't see anybody talking about Edward at all. Everybody, anytime you mention Black Flag, they always just talk about the ship combat and nothing else.
The ship combat was fire. If Ubisoft could just put that into multiplayer and you do that with the homies, that's why I said this is a good pirate game.
Trying to, yeah.
It's a great pirate game. It's a bad Assassin's game, Brad. That's why they took out all the modern stuff, bruh.
Did you see that pirate game that just came out recently?
Windrose? It doesn't look bad.
I noticed it has a very similar naval system. That might be what you want. You might want to look at it.
It doesn't look bad. But in terms of like implications and where it is, where I would rank it for Assassin's Creed, it wouldn't be anywhere in the top for me. But what's your thoughts?
We're talking bottom of the barrel. Okay, all right.
Yeah, a lot of people. I'm probably about to piss a lot of people off. What? What'd you think, Ethos?
Okay, so like I'm kind of a little in the same boat, but a little bit different. Same sea, different boat. So I was a big Assassin's Creed fan. I played from the very beginning, and I didn't play Black Flag because that's how bad Assassin's Creed 3 was to me. That's how much I hated Assassin's Creed 3's ending. It left such a bad taste in my mouth that I didn't want to play another Assassin's Creed. So when they announced 4, and I was like, how the hell can you make another game after that ending? How does that even work with the timeline? I didn't even want to touch it. And it kind of proved it because I think they did a whole, like, it was like an animus museum type of, I can't remember the setup.
They removed all that, because for those unaware, this is the 4th game. They removed all of it out of this remake, so you're right.
Yeah. So like when I heard, like, I think I read the reviews because I was debating on picking it up when I was younger, and when I saw the reviews about like, well, there's not really much pushed in the modern. It's really just an entire different adventure where you're there. I completely was turned off. I wasn't already into. I kind of like they say Pirates versus Ninjas. I was into the ninjas, so I was already not engaging with the setting of being.
You want me to tell you what happens with the modern day stuff?
I mean, I kind of know based off of the next one after. Like, does Origin kind of like explain some of that? I think, if I recall. Like, what's the? I'm not gonna say anything because I don't want to spoil it if people have never played it.
Man, fuck them.
Go ahead. It's been years, man. Come on,
it's 2013, and they're not even gonna put it in this one anyway. So, anyways,
go ahead.
Basically, the Templars create like a game, and you get to go in and just read.
That's how I remember.
It's a bullshit excuse.
It's like a museum.
Yeah.
Where they're trying to find another Templars that are tied by blood, and they get them to trick into through some sort of like game museum simulation thing. That, like, I know they turn the Animus into this entertainment property that they try to make the real modern.
They're harvesting data through gameplay.
Yeah, which is funny.
Interesting.
Go on the nose there. Yeah, like I wasn't high into it. Now, don't get me wrong, I got some connects at Ubisoft, so they'll probably give me a code for this, and I'll probably check it out because I never played 4, and it's been so long at this point that I'm just like, okay, maybe I'll get with fresh eyes now as a 30-something-year-old person. Now I'm going to look at it compared to how I was when I was like way younger and way more pissed off. Now I'm just like, I don't really care anymore about what happens with Assassin's Creed, the modern story, so I'll just see if I like it now or not. But yeah, I kind of agree. I wasn't like hardcore into the setting to begin with, and I do know there are some people that really like Edward. I am aware there are fans that like really love him, but I've never heard him being like. Well, I'll take it back. I have heard some fans say that he's their favorite assassin because of what TBH doesn't like, because he was not originally an assassin. He was he's basically But
doesn't that directly contradict the reason they hated Odyssey though?
I mean, yes and no. So it's a little bit different just because Edward is a different. He's an interesting dichotomy on the Assassin's Creed plotline. Like, a lot of the assassins are like, they are put into the role, right, through some sort of tragedy that happens to them, and as a result, they're brought to the moment. They're like, you must become an assassin to avenge the people that the Templars have screwed you with. Edward's a completely different of that because he don't give a fuck about none of that. Like his whole motivation is
he just kind of gets caught in the middle.
Yeah. He's literally a person. I think he's on the run. It's a convenience for him. It is he puts it on to take the. I think of it as Siggy loves this show and I like it too. The show that the guy that plays Homelander, Anthony Starr. So there's a HBO series, if you guys didn't know, before Anthony Starr did The Boys, called Banshee. Highly recommend it. It's a phenomenal show. A very mature, very gritty show. Basically, the entire the setup of the story is Anthony Starr's character basically is trying to avoid the law because he's in trouble for something that he did in a different city. So he ends up going into the boonies, basically down south into the boonies, into this place called Banshee. So it's been a while since I watched it, and he incidentally kills the sheriff that belongs to this town, and he takes his identity So what happens is the town's never met this new sheriff. So he kills the sheriff on his way there and he becomes the sheriff. And then he walks into the town and that's his secret. So the entire show, he's trying to prevent people from knowing that he's not actually the real sheriff. But he plays the role as a sheriff even though he's a criminal. So that's like the entire premises, which is kind of like what Black Flag's entire premises is like he's not an assassin, so he plays the role of this assassin because his previous life is basically forfeit. Like if they find out who he was previously, they're gonna hang him. So that's the way it's been explained to me, is that he's basically playing the role of an assassin, even though he doesn't really care about that until, like what you said, until the end where he kind of matures and understands that, like, it's kind of like oh man, I'm gonna spit. It kind of reminds me of Andor, where you have a main character who doesn't really care about the politics or the plight of the greater good or of the world. He doesn't care. I'm one of those indifferent people. I don't care about politics. I don't care about that. I just care about what happens to me, and I don't care what happens in the world. And then when they're thrusted into that, or that the world start the problems of the world start to affect him, or he gets thrusted into that area, he starts to realize that his
I completely forgot about the live chat. I was just playing League. I was like frustrated.
Want a bite? Yeah, I'll take a bite.
Where is that going? Where is that going?
How y'all go from trying to kill each other, fighting, to making babies? That's crazy, though.
These fish got beef with these fish. And...
Oh my god.
Bro, they said Rakai got the most crazy stutter moments caught on live.
Nigga don't let eat fish in this bitch 10 times, bro. Damn. Please, bro.
Oh, nigga. I'm done. I'm done with this game. I already lost 2 games. I don't care anymore. I'm going back to bronze. I'm going back to orange. I'm gonna be orange for the rest of my life.